Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15.
And now your host, Catherine Turley.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Turley, and my guest today is last week's guest, Brett Klika, the CEO of SPIDERfit Kids. He was on the show last week where we started this conversation about how to motivate kids to get moving, and he's back to share some more tips and insights. Before I have him do that, I'll read a little bit more about him, but I do encourage you to go back to last week's episode for the first half of our conversation. Lots of good insights there. All right, our guest is Brett Klika. As I mentioned, he's the CEO of SPIDERfit Kids and an IDEA Personal Trainer of the Year. He's a personal trainer, author, and international motivational speaker, inspiring men, women, and children around the world to create a culture of wellness in their home and live the best version of their life. Brett's actually been doing this in a big way through his PE in Your Living Room series. So if you haven't checked that out yet, it's totally free. You can find it on Facebook, and then he has been uploading the videos to YouTube as well. I've been enjoying it, and that will be linked in the show notes. So a great way to travel, sort of, on this Travel Tip Tuesday that's not a Travel Tip Tuesday this week, to someone else's living room, have some fun, and motivate your kids to get moving, which is what we're talking about again today. We're just going to continue our conversation from last week. More tips to get your kids motivated and active and enjoying all the benefits of a healthy lifestyle and starting that habit when they're young so that they're able to enjoy all those benefits throughout their lives. All right, let's go back to our conversation. All right, so we've decided that helping our kids get motivated and keeping them active really depends on us and our example. But I guess one thing I'd ask Brett is that, for example, let's say as a parent, I enjoy spin class. I don't really think there's any spin classes that allow kids to join in. How could I encourage my kids to be active when the way I work out might not be something that kids can join in on with me?
Yeah. Well, I think that when it comes to like the gym setting, that's a very specific thing. And it is exclusive of kids. And people have asked me, what do I think about that? And actually, I think it's good to a certain degree. I think there's a lot of liability when you have kids running around.
Sure.
I understand where gym owners are coming from when they limit that. Now, I do think that we need to answer the market and have some more offerings for kids. But on a family to family basis, it's all about finding those opportunities. So maybe the kids aren't going to spin class, but just last weekend, like I'm pretty serious about exercise. It's my whole body and brain is hooked up to where I need it. And I discovered that a long time ago. Not everyone is hooked up like that. Not everyone is going to have the relationship with exercise that I do or another personal trainer. And that's fine. It's finding your own relationship with it. But I usually, so my wife was out of town. It was a weekend, so I couldn't go for my typical, like, go around to a track and do sprints or go run stairs. And I'm with my daughter. So we sat down, we put together 10 different exercises we could do in a circuit. And so she picked a couple things like hula hoop, which to me, that's not my style, but she also did the things that I had in there. And she's 6 years old, and we chose her music. So we're listening to the stuff she wants to listen to. And no, I did not get a great workout, but she got to see that, wow, this is something that makes us feel good. She got high fives. So what are those opportunities that you have within your family? And I think de-emphasizing the notion of workout and highlighting the notion of, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go play Frisbee at the park. Let's go grab a soccer ball or basketball or ball, or let's go play a game. Let's go play hide and seek. It's not so much, hey, physical activity is just workout. It's no, this is play. Play is fun. And if you're bored or if you don't have anything else to do, this is a cool thing you can do. We can just go take the dog for a walk. Those are the critical pieces, not so much saying, hey, we have to go work out. Now, when it comes to what kids need, honestly, starting at a young age, kids need a lot of varied physical activity. Play is ideal. Unfortunately, I think there's a certain level of us parents that just have de-emphasized it. But I think what's happened is our population, because of development and how many people we have living, everywhere is urban now. I mean, I live in the suburbs in San Diego, but I might as well be living in the city. There's cars everywhere. My daughter's 6. I'm not just going to turn her loose outside to go run around. There's cars that when we live in a great area, but there's just modern times are different. So you can't really just say, hey, get out of the house. We'll see you at 8:00 tonight. It's a different time. So with those limitations, we got to figure out, how can we facilitate play? Do we play with the kids? Do we even have stuff around the house do we have physical things or things they could interact with physically? Just buy some cones. Just kids, talk about something easy to get kids going. Multicolored cones. They go out in the backyard and put together some fun little obstacle courses. That would, from the age of 2, that would keep my daughter occupied for an hour. An agility ladder, and she'd set that up, and she'd have all these different things she'd do. And so just having that stuff around the house, because kids' brains are very plastic, they're developing, and physical and cognitive development go hand in hand. And so as they're kind of bouncing back and forth between these different things, it's the brain helps the body helps the brain. It goes back and forth. They need to have all these different physical experiences. They call it a sensory rich environment. So it's not so much about getting into one sport. It's introducing the kids and facilitating this activity. And as they get older, it's honing these general sensory skills, these general things, into more specific skills. Call them fundamental movement skills. So can they skip? Can they run? Can they march? Can they shuffle? Can they gallop? Can they throw? Can they catch? Can they kick? All of those are part of, again, cognitive development and physical development go hand in hand. So it is important that kids, I don't care if you think you have the best 6-year-old soccer player in the world, they still have to learn how to dribble a ball with their upper body, because that's going to help them with some rhythmic development, which helps them comprehend speech at a higher level. So it all plays in. So it's looking at kids. We need to stop looking at kids in sports as a commodity. It's not an investment towards college anymore. And if you literally are pouring tons of money into your kids' sports as an investment for college.
Hi friends, it's Catherine. That sound is your halfway point reminder. We are 7.5 minutes into the episode. So if you're joining us and using the episode to help you get in an out and back walk, and you only have a total of 15 minutes to get moving today, you'll want to turn around now. All right, back to our conversation.
You need to talk to a financial advisor and probably come up with a better investment strategy, because you were talking about a less than 1% rate of return.
Sure.
And far less than 1%. And this is overcoming all kinds of different things. So it's a pretty poor way to invest for college. So kids should play sports of what it does for them from a developmental standpoint, what they learn from. And you do get to a point where it does become performance critical, particularly in high school, because now you're in puberty and you're seeing what you're getting to work with for the rest of your life, your body size, your all these different things. And that's when sports do become more of a pathway to possibly a next level. But when you're a young kid, it's part of the overall development process. So they really need varied movement, and they need to be active at least an hour a day.
Got it. You got me thinking with the comment about college. And I guess I'll probably link this in the show notes. You did have a really good article on your blog about how physical activity grows young brains. But maybe, I used to be a high school teacher. And so definitely, people, well, even in middle school or below, I think I see this with parents in general, that we're so worried about, is our kid going to get into a good college? But we focus on, some parents don't focus on the scholarship part for their student athletes. It's more that they're focused on the grades, and the students are not getting the time to be active. So could you share some insights as to why activity could help them in their academics as well?
Well, that pressure, we're seeing this pressure just like in sports. We're seeing our children as this commodity versus children. And so we're looking at this grades. And so the fear is, well, if we spend time on physical activity, then we're not going to get to spend the time teaching math. If 20 minutes of physical activity means 20 less minutes, and teachers' resources are stretched, their resources for time, their resources for financial things for the classroom, those are stretched already. And there's a tremendous amount of objective accountability now with testing. And so teachers are freaked out. But one thing that if you look at the data, one of the best things we can do to improve test scores is have daily physical activity. The impact that it has on executive function, which is essentially that overall decision making, and it helps kids with impulse control. When they exercise, it literally stimulates that part of the brain. Also, the hippocampus, which is an area of the brain that we have a lot of memory, memory retention, and some different functions like that. Aerobic exercise has actually been shown to increase the size of the hippocampus. So we see better behavioral outcomes, we see better cognitive outcomes from exercise. And not only do we see these outcomes, it's actually been found to be one of the most effective things for effective interventions for creating these outcomes. And so the fact that we're ignoring this is a very emotional, and I do understand if I'm a teacher, my job depends on the fact that my class gets, X score in this test, and math is on that test, but physical activity is not. I'm trying to keep my job. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do, but it's important to understand that it's not as simple as just, well, if they want math, I'm just going to teach them math. At a young age, part of learning math is part of developing overall spatial capacity. It's part of developing literally that area of the brain that goes back and forth with physical activity. So physical activity is a very, very powerful driver of cognitive, social, and even behavioral development. And that's not an opinion. Anything we share with SPIDERfit Kids is very important to me. That yes, we will share some opinion pieces based on, but most of it is, no, this is what the research is telling us. This is real. We're not just drinking the Kool-Aid here, folks. This is, if you were to sit me down and say, what does it look like the most advantageous things we could do for a kid's health and the overall development? I would have to say that, yeah, daily physical activity is probably the most impactful thing we could do at this point. And then, go on from there, obviously. But it even emotionally, with some of the issues with depression, and there's an emotional impact of exercise, and it's talk about something simple to execute, something simple to interject into it's a very simple idea. We're not having to necessarily even bring an external professional in. It's just, what can we do to facilitate recess? What can we do to have a 20 minutes worth, a circuit that a teacher can just follow, and the circuit changes every day, or there's the Go Noodle, and there's all these different things, these resources. It's a very simple intervention that has a huge ROI.
I love that. Now, do you have any tips? If there's a teacher listening that wants to incorporate this, but maybe has some testing obligations and all that, is there something that people can do during class that you'd recommend? Or
Absolutely. Think about the simplest, and we have resources for this through SPIDERfitKids.com website, but consider if kids stood up 20 jumping jacks, have them sit on their bottom, roll from their back to their feet 10 times, have them turn around 3 times to their right, 3 times to their left, do a balance activity on each leg, then have them sit down. They will have a greater capacity for memory and for focus for the next 5, 10, 15, maybe more minutes, just by doing something like that. So it doesn't have to be in one extended period. It can be in microbursts throughout the course of the day. And again, we give you all kinds of ideas, but even thinking, if you're a classroom teacher, if you wrote down, you just took 5 minutes and wrote down 20 physical activities that happen in place, and just have those available, and mix and match 3 at a time. And there's endless. You can endless ways to put those together, so you can even get creative on your own. And you're like, okay, we're going to do, everybody do 5 push-ups, run in place for 10 seconds, and this. And you just put little pairs of 3. It takes them a minute, maybe a little bit longer. You're going to see better academic outcomes without significantly decreasing the amount of time that you have with them.
That's awesome. No, it's really empowering. Do you know, Brett, any of the research, does it share how often you should be doing that, or how many minutes in a given time block you should be trying to get them active?
Yeah, they've found advantages to even 30-second microbursts, but it does appear to be a dose response. So if you can get a little bit longer, you're going to see even better outcome. But again, it's just, what can we do? Can we accumulate over the course of the day? Can we accumulate an hour of higher intensity physical activity that wasn't there before. If we could do that across the board, we'd see outcomes in health and behavior and cognitive and physical, and we would see all kinds of outcomes in that. If we could accumulate over the course of a day between parents, teachers, and all that, if we could accumulate an hour, 60 minutes, then we could completely shift our children's health.
So small things can lead to a big impact. I always love learning facts like that.
Yeah.
Awesome, Brett. Well, so much we talked about today. You have so many good resources. People should definitely go check out the website. Do you want to just share best ways to connect with you, or anything special you have going on, or make sure that
Yeah.
they get all this good stuff?
Well, one thing I highly would recommend is to follow us on Facebook. We're just SPIDERfit Kids. We post at least once a day. We post research. We post videos of activities. We post all kind. We have Facebook Lives every Friday where you can chime in. You can reach us through Facebook as well, and we let you know what's going on, different opportunities you have to connect. Also, our website, SPIDERfitKids.com. This is a blog. All of our blogs are chock full of information, that anywhere from research to practical activities to things like that. And then our Powerful Playground website. This is our membership website. And it's an online database that literally, as a member, you have access to hundreds of activities that you can search for by age, by the amount of space you have, by the equipment you have available, by the desired outcome. And it's a very cool, people are using this, whether it be teachers or fitness professionals or any from that. They're using this all over the world. So I definitely recommend either SPIDERfitKids.com, PowerfulPlayground.com, and for sure following us at SPIDERfit Kids on Facebook.
Awesome, Brett. Well, really enjoyed having you on the show. I know I learned a lot, and I'm excited to share with the listeners. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time today.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15.
For show notes and more,
Visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.
Hi friends, it's Catherine popping back on here to remind you that this conversation was the second half of the conversation we started last week. So if you missed that, head on back to get all the tips from Brett there. And another thing you want to do is go to our show notes for the link to the SPIDERfit Kids Facebook page so you can check out PE in your living room. Really great offering that Brett has going on there to keep your kids active and getting all the great benefits that we talked about today, helping them be more focused when they're sitting through their school day with you at home, if that's what's going on in your household right now. One last thing too, if you found this helpful or any of the resources here helpful, I would love for you to share it with any educators. I know they're probably struggling keeping the kids focused, and I think these tips could really help them get a little bit of sanity back while doing something good for their students as well. All right, hope you enjoyed. If you subscribe to the show, I will chat with you again tomorrow, and would love to hear how you're doing with PE in the living room if you try that out. Thanks again, Brett. Really appreciate all that you're doing for the kids. All right, guys, talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now.